What is up everyone and welcome to another Mac Mini G4 video. Here we have my Mac Mini G4. If you haven't seen the last video then go and check it out. We basically reset it up as another server of mine, so it's alongside my Core 2 Duo Mac Mini for server duties, and I have not put it to any use yet because unfortunately that night after making that video I went away from here, came back the next day, and my Mac Mini was making a massive noise. It was boiling hot and it had overheated. It was just not accessible via screen sharing or anything like that, so I restarted it and everything was fine. But unfortunately, I believe the Mac Mini is a little clogged with dust. So we're going to open it up today and hopefully it is full of dust, because if not, then there is something else wrong with it. But I'm hoping that the fan is blocked and there's dust on the vent and stuff, so we're going to take the fan out and give it a good clean. So sit back, relax and enjoy the mess that will be me cracking open this Mac Mini, and hopefully there's no wood louse inside this one. So for this procedure I've got a few tools. I have a Phillips screwdriver because according to iFixit, when you open up a G4 Mac Mini, it's only a Phillips screwdriver that you need, unlike the Intel ones where you need a couple of different size Torx bits for different sections of the Mini. You may need Torx screws for other stuff in here, but to take the mass storage assembly out, which is basically the optical drive and the hard drive and the fan kind of caddy, the top bit of the Mini, you don't need to do that. I have a magnifying glass because of my poor eyesight, I need to see small things. I have got the obligatory putty knife, which is the best way to open these. Now, iFixit have actually got a little article on an alternative way of opening your Mac Mini, and it looks like you use pins or something, but I haven't read it, and this is what I have, so I'll use this. I've also got these handy orange pry tools that I had in the last Mac Mini video, and they were very handy to stick in one side of the Mini while I was opening the other, to stop it from snapping shut. And of course, I have a can of compressed air to blow out the Mini and blow out the fan, and I'll also find some cloths and whatnot to give things a wipe that need wiping. So let's move this stuff out of the way and flip the Mini upside down and start prying it open. Now, if you guys have never opened a Mac Mini, I've only ever opened one once, but your putty knife has got two corners. One is sharp and one is round. Now, this looks to be a different one that I was using last time, but this is the spikier corner. So you sort of just stick that in the little seam, or at least try to. It's very difficult. There you go. And then you can pry the entire tool inwards. And then it's just a case of really forcing your Mac Mini to open, which is a bit of an odd way to open a computer, but whatever. I will go around and do all of the sides and see how far I get. So guys, for some strange reason that was pretty much too easy to open. That was really easy to open compared to my Intel model. But there we go, there's the inside of the lid. Now I've got a very basic model. This is the 1.25 gigahertz model. You can see the two little bits where the antennas would line up inside. I don't actually have any antennas in my Mac Mini. It's got no AirPort or Bluetooth or anything like that, so that actually makes things slightly less complicated. Now, it looks to me like this has been taken apart before, because we do actually have, I'm going to take the 1 gigabyte of RAM out so it's not in our way. Let's put that to one side. It does appear to have some missing screws, because this assembly should not just lift off like this. That's actually somewhat worrying. I believe it's only got one screw in place, but it may not even have that. Yeah, this should not just come out like this. My Mac Mini is missing some vital components, guys. But having said that, there may be a screw in there because it is feeling quite stubborn. And this screwdriver, naturally, of course, is too big. Let's use one of these tiny green ones that comes with those cheap external hard drive enclosures. So yes, there is a screw in here. There we go. Now, so I don't lose the screw, I'll tip it out upside down and put it to one side. So this Mini is feeling incredibly insecure, but unfortunately it's not looking too dirty. In fact, if anything, it is looking ridiculously clean in here. Now, there does appear to be like an airport card there, but the antennas aren't in place or anything. That could be a Bluetooth card, I'm not too sure. This Mini is a little bit of a train wreck by the looks of it. There's a bit of plastic there from something, but it's not that dirty. So let's move the base of the Mini to one side. Now, that plastic appears to be from this little area. It's all perished and broken away, so we'll move it to one side. The hard drive is flapping about a considerable amount. It's not attached via screws, which is terrible, which is really bad actually. I could just yank that out if I wanted to, but what I'm going to do, guys, is pull out the fan. We'll sort the hard drive in a minute. We'll see if we can find some screws. I'm going to pull out the fan to see if the fan is dusty, and luckily this does have all of its screws in place. But at the moment, I'm thinking there could be something else wrong with this Mini. It's been opened before. This was a donation, by the way, guys. So I don't know the history of the machine. But of course, this is half of the excitement, you know, not knowing the history. The fact that it's missing all of those screws makes it quicker to take apart, but also a little bit worrying. So taking these 3 screws out, that one as well, and this one, right about here, we will bring the fan up and nope, there is no dust in this fan whatsoever. That is a shame. That is a big shame. So at this point, guys, I think the only thing I can do, I mean, when I say there's no dust, you know, there's a little bit of dust obviously, but nothing crazy. The optical drive is also loose. It's not held in via any screws. Wow. Wow, only a couple from the underside maybe. Okay, the hard drive's got 1 screw in that corner, but it's only got 1 screw in it. So yeah, this is crazy, guys. This is unheard of in my book. You know, if you take it apart, you do it properly, you put it back together properly, you know. Which is an ironic thing to say because I can't figure out how this fan goes back on. I think it's like that. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to use the compressed air. And when you blow out fans, guys, it's always really important, I guess you know this already, it's always really important to hold the fan still, because the compressed air will make the fan spin too quickly and it could damage your fan. But as you can see, there's not really any dust coming up from this at all. So I'm going to put the fan back. I can see, just visually see, I can see that there is no dust on that fan whatsoever. Nothing worth writing home about anyway. So possibly I may have to change the thermal compound or something along those lines, which would be an interesting little task. But we'll see. I'll get this back together. And it doesn't mention anything on iFixit about taking off the CPU heatsink or whatever, but once I get this back together, we'll have a little look ourselves. Now this entire assembly is quite flimsy, guys, so I think it's safe to say that it's better to put all the screws in before tightening them a significant amount. I also don't know where that cable is meant to loop around, but we will see. There's also meant to be a little bit of tape on the bottom of the hard drive keeping the cable in place, but that doesn't appear to be necessary. And I'm thinking maybe the optical drive is faulty because it's not lined up properly, because it's not screwed in. So all of these thoughts running through my head, guys. I don't know if the Mini boots up without the lid, but it may be beneficial to boot it up without the lid, just to see what's happening, but it's probably got sensors in it. I can't see it being that easy to boot up without the bloody lid. But we'll screw this back on. And for now, we are done with this little bit, guys. Let's just make sure it's screwed on because I don't want it rattling. There we go. The whole thing feels shaky and just... This is just something else, guys. Wow. I need to find screws for this entire bit here. Look at that. That is really something. I need to screw in the optical drive and the hard drive. Okay, cool. So we'll move this bit to one side and move it over there, and let's take a look at this bit. Now, I'd assume, guys, that the CPU is under this thing here, but I don't think that I am going to be able to take that off. I'll just give this bit a blowjob. And also a nice bit through the vent at the back, even though there's no dust there. So that is that. Intriguing, guys. Absolutely intriguing. There's nothing I can do with this, I don't think. Nothing at all, really. I'm not really sure at all, to be perfectly honest. But okay, let's move this side bit out of the way. And we will bring this guy back into the frame. And we will also dig out, if I just lean down to hand, I have rather dusty selection of screws, but there will be something in here that will hold that hard drive and optical drive in place. Now I'll have to find something fairly flat for it to line up properly. I've got all sorts of screws here. So I'm probably going to pause the camera, find some decent screws, and then be back with you guys in a second. So guys, I found 2 screws for the hard drive. As you can see, the hard drive is now screwed in the side as well, which is great. It's not going anywhere. The hard drive has been changed before. I looked up the original specifications for this machine, and the drive should be a 40 gigabyte. This is a 60 gig, so I reckon it's been changed, and the fact that half the screws are missing shows that it's been changed also. Now, the optical drive has not been changed, but it may have been attempted to have been changed, or it may have been changed for a legit Apple one, but this is an Apple drive. The reason I haven't found screws for the side was A, I couldn't find any, and B, the drive is broken. I can see by eyeballing it that there is something in the way here, and I can't get at it. And I do have one of these spare slot load drives upstairs, so what I will do is replace it one day, but I'm not going to do it now because I'm probably, next time I take this apart, going to change the hard drive as well. And also I want to check before I go to the effort that the drive upstairs is fully compatible. It's screwed in by this back PCB anyway, but I don't want to put too much strain on the PCB. But anyway, that is everything, guys. What I'm going to do now is plop this back down and hope for the best. And it just sort of plops here and pushes in, and that is that sitting there. So you can actually feel that the whole optical drive bit is loose, and I can't believe there's only one screw. I might be able to see if I can get replacement screws for this online, but I'll screw it back into the back corner because that's where it was screwed into. Now I thought it would be a problem with the optical drive lining up because it wasn't screwed in. That's why I couldn't get my disc in. It's not. The optical drive is broken, so that is fair enough. But let's screw that in, and that is literally it, guys. I cannot believe that that is it. And the whole thing is shaking like a blinking. Yeah, that is just atrocious. But let's get this stick of RAM back in there. This is maxed out RAM, by the way, guys, 1 gigabyte, and it's crucial RAM, so that's pretty cool. The Mac Mini G4 only has 1 slot, and it takes a gig, of course. Because if this had 2 slots, then it would take 2 gig, which would be really cool, but it doesn't. So it doesn't, and it would help if I opened the slot before trying to cram the RAM in. So there we go. There's the RAM in place. You don't have to take the RAM out to take this off, but it makes life a lot easier because you can get at that back screw. Anyway, to put it back together, we're just going to do this. A lot easier than fiddling around in my Intel one, guys, because man, that's quite a struggle with the antennas and stuff and all the screws and cabling, and I really messed up last time I took it apart. But yeah, actually I don't know if I've just got bad memories because everything was fine or what, I don't know. But we've got a little scenario here, guys. That is not shut. Why did that not shut when I put the RAM in? Oh, the RAM is not seated properly. Well done, Tom. Okay, that was good. See if we can get the top lid back on somehow, like that. push it down into place, and that is our Mac Mini G4 back together. Crazy how it feels so legit from the outside, but inside it's pretty much a train wreck. So unfortunately, I don't know why this guy is overheating and stuff, guys, because there's no dust in there. So I'm going to hook it back up, boot it up, and see what it does. So guys, as you can see, my Mac Mini G4 is back up and running. Now, I'm currently downloading WebKit, as recommended by a viewer of mine, to try out instead of 10.4 Fox as the browser on this machine. And once I do get a browser on here, I'm going to navigate to download a couple of applications for temperature monitoring and whatnot. But we are back up and running. As you can see, I'm accessing this through screen sharing. And for some strange reason, you know, I mean, I don't know what a Mac Mini G4 is meant to be like, but check that out, guys. The CPU is actually, check that out, it's really crunching away there at something. I don't know if that's normal or what, but it shouldn't be that high. It's really, really crunching away, which is odd, you know. So it could just be getting really hot. I don't know why. It's got plenty of free RAM. As you can see, more than half of its RAM is free, which is, you know, which is ideal. But that's just crunching away. Activity monitor says it's using quite a lot. Hang on a sec. Yeah, CPU. Apple VNC server. Okay. Yeah, maybe it's normal then, guys. Maybe it's normal. I'm not too sure. But it's just going mental. But anyway, unfortunately, guys, that concludes this video. I know it's been a very short one. I was hoping that we were going to find a load of dust or crap inside of the G4 Mac Mini, blow it out, and then it would be better optimized. But I can actually hear it now over the sound of my Mac Pro, which is not good at all. So I do need to do something about this Mac Mini in the future. I may do research on taking off the CPU heatsink and replacing the thermal paste, etc, etc. You know, putting some Arctic MX4 on there and really getting it nice and cool. But yeah, if anyone has any suggestions, then feel free to fire them my way. I'm not a Mac Mini G4 expert at all, but what I do need is 100% stability, or as close as I can get to 100% stability. My Mac Mini Core 2 Duo has been running for the last half a year almost, without any interruptions, and it's very stable and responsive. And I'd kind of like the same thing out of my Mac Mini G4, but maybe it's just not up to it. I have no idea. If not, then it's no biggie. I'll get another Intel model, but I would like to use what I already have, and using a little bit of PowerPC every single day would be absolutely wonderful, because I rarely use PowerPC for anything these days. So thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this quick pop open of my Mac Mini G4. We may indeed be seeing inside my Mac Mini G4 again very soon. The hard drive crunches like hell, so I would really like to see if I can get a really cheap OWC Legacy Mercury SSD from somewhere, just to make the drive portion absolutely silent. And I'd also like to put a working optical drive in there. Either that, or I'll put a little bracket in and see if I can wangle a secondary drive in there. That would be pretty cool. I don't think they make an official data doubler for the G4 Mac Mini. But anyway, that is it from me for today, guys. I hope you've enjoyed, as I've mentioned, and expect more server videos this week. And of course, Hackintosh Part 5 will be coming soon. All sorts of things to look forward to. Sorry this was short yet again, but hopefully I can make up for it in future Mac Mini G4 videos. Thanks again, guys, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Yeah.